Hi, this is Sally's Book Talk, bringing you the world's best books every day. Today we're exploring A Treatise of Human Nature, a 490,000-word philosophical work. I'll spend about 30 minutes unpacking the core ideas of this masterpiece. Let's discover how Hume examined human nature beyond social status and class divisions. Before diving in, let's meet the author. A 2013 international survey ranked Hume as philosophers' favorite thinker. Even Einstein credited Hume's philosophy as inspiration for his theory of relativity, showing Hume's enduring influence. Born 3 centuries ago in Scotland to a lawyer's family, David Hume showed early brilliance.
He lost his father at 2 and was raised solely by his devoted mother.
Entering Edinburgh University at 12, he demonstrated extraordinary intellectual gifts.
Financial constraints forced him to leave university at 15 without a degree.
Like most philosophers, Hume built his reputation outside academic institutions. His family initially pushed him toward law, following family tradition. But young Hume quickly realized law wasn't his calling. Philosophy captivated his mind completely. By 18, he spent most days immersed in deep contemplation. He felt an entire new world unfolding before him.
However, this intense mental exertion took physical toll. 4 years of recuperation followed this health crisis.
During convalescence, he devoured books in multiple languages while learning Greek, expanding his knowledge. Seeking change, he briefly worked at a trading company. A heated dispute over business letters made him quit commerce permanently.
Disillusioned, Hume left England for Paris, dedicating himself fully to philosophical writing.
At 26, Hume completed his magnum opus. The book we're discussing today, A Treatise of Human Nature. Most works about human nature discuss either its nobility or weaknesses. However, Hume positioned his philosophy as the science of human nature. Here, human nature broadly encompasses cognition, emotion, morality, and social behavior. Hume equated the science of human nature with mental philosophy, the comprehensive study of humanity. Hence the book's subtitle, an attempt to introduce the experimental method of reasoning into moral subjects. The treatise contains 3 volumes, as seen from its table of contents. Book 1, of the Understanding, explores epistemology, the origin, classification, and limits of knowledge. Book 1, Eye of the Passions, examines emotions based on his theory of knowledge. Book 1, I of Morals presents Hume's moral philosophy framework. Confidently, Hume demanded anonymous publication without patron endorsements. His confidence was well-founded, as history proved. The work establishes philosophical foundations addressing ethics, governance, and social evolution. It forms a remarkably comprehensive philosophical system.
The book's initial obscurity deeply disappointed Hume.
Undaunted, he continued, revising it with characteristic optimism. Many readers initially find this monumental work overwhelming. Despite its breadth, the core lies in Hume's revolutionary theory of knowledge. Hume himself claimed his definition of knowledge was unprecedented and unparalleled. Understanding Hume's epistemology is key to grasping this philosophical masterpiece. In today's episode, we'll focus on three core questions. 1. What is knowledge? 2. What is empiricism? 3. What is the self? We'll explore these questions to understand Hume's theory of human nature. These questions all explore the fundamental nature of existence. Understanding Hume's answers enhances cognitive flexibility and our relationship with the world. First, let's examine what is knowledge. A significant portion of the treatise discusses knowledge extensively. Hume's questioning of knowledge opened Pandora's box in philosophy, raising profound implications. We'll dedicate considerable time to this foundational section. Understanding knowledge is crucial to understanding human nature. So, what exactly constitutes knowledge? Hume posits that knowledge originates from impressions and ideas. These terms, impressions and ideas, carry specific philosophical meanings. Impressions are relatively straightforward to comprehend. Simply put, impressions are vivid sensations from external stimuli, sight, smell, sound, or direct emotions like anger or joy. This aligns closely with our everyday understanding. But what then are ideas? Hume defines ideas as mental constructs derived from impressions. For example, seeing a red rose creates an impression. Remembering it later forms an idea. When we recall the rose after leaving the park, that mental image becomes an idea. This demonstrates impressions as direct experiences, while ideas are processed recollections. Impressions necessarily precede their corresponding ideas. However, ideas aren't mere copies. They can combine impressions in novel ways. Consider angels. Though never directly experienced, we still form this conceptual idea. This occurs because we've seen human forms and wings separately, creating distinct impressions. By combining these impressions, attaching wings to humans, we form the concept of angels. Does this make sense? Let's review this logical framework together. To acquire knowledge, you must generate ideas. Ideas require impressions gained through sensory experiences, sight, sound, smell, and touch. In other words, direct personal experience is essential. Hume not only explored knowledge origins, but also classified it systematically. He proposed two knowledge types: relations of ideas. This category contains self-evident truths requiring no empirical verification. For example, triangle angles sum to 180 degrees needs no measurement. All mathematics falls here. The second type, matters of fact, empirical knowledge. These require empirical verification through experience. To know if a tomato is sweet or sour, you must taste it. Tomorrow's weather, only tomorrow reveals it. This classification system is famously called Hume's fork. The fork refers to a military weapon, not dining utensil. Why this terminology? Traditional views saw knowledge as monolithic. Hume's classification was revolutionary. Hume's analysis splits knowledge, like a fork piercing through conventional understanding. This classification might seem unremarkable at first glance, but fully grasping its implications could revolutionize your worldview. Why? Let's examine the profound consequences. Hume's classification ultimately challenges the concept of causation. Causation refers to perceived relationships between events. Hume argues that causation doesn't fundamentally exist. A seemingly absurd claim at first. Doesn't hunger result from not eating? Doesn't gravity explain apples falling? Aren't these clear examples of causation? Let's examine Hume's reasoning carefully. While mathematical truths are certain, empirical knowledge proves more problematic. Imagine pushing a table. You exert force, contact occurs, then movement follows. Common sense says your push caused the movement. But Hume challenges this. We assume cause precedes effect in all daily occurrences. Hume's analysis reveals flaws in this assumption. 3 observable facts. 1. Force applied. 2. Physical contact. 3. Movement. Hume's principle: we only believe what we directly observe. First, 2 facts are observable. They pass Hume's test. Physical contact between hand and table is verifiable. But can we observe the causal link between force and movement? We see force applied and movement occurring, but not the causal connection itself. Hume maintains events prove themselves, not their relationships. Another example: sunlight warms stones, but does it prove causation? Hume states we observe sunrise and heated stones, but cannot observe any connection between them. Thus, we cannot claim causal relationship. Second example: using a sea for cooling in summer heat. We observe a sea activation and personal cooling, but not the causal mechanism itself. Knowledge strictly originates from impressions and ideas acquired through senses. While sensory observations confirm existence, they reveal nothing about relationships. Table pushing, solar heating, AC cooling. All observable phenomena human knowledges. He accepts these facts, but rejects causal interpretation, dismantling traditional epistemology. You might object, doesn't hunger directly cause eating behavior? Hume's counter-argument: habitual association, not causation. Past hunger-eating patterns create behavioral habits, not logical necessities. Life functions through habit rather than rational causation analysis. Hence Hume's famous maxim: custom is the great guide of human life. Rational proofs cannot reveal inherent connections between phenomena. What we perceive as logic is fundamentally habitual conditioning. Like watching cinematic narratives unfold naturally, movies progress browsing, while being discrete frame sequences, mirroring human perception. Audience emotions respond to artificial continuity, unaware of fragmented reality. Movies are just sequential, still frames, yet viewers instinctively connect them as continuous reality. In a sense, habit becomes truth itself. Consider new drivers meticulously memorizing procedures. 1. Open door. 2. Adjust seat. 3. Insert key. 4. Check mirrors, step by step. With practice, these actions become automatic and fluid, no longer analyzing each action's relationship to the next. Habitual mastery drives the car effortlessly. Knowledge acquisition follows similar patterns. How many actions truly result from rational deliberation?
Disappointingly, most behaviors lack conscious reasoning.
Hume's core concept. All knowledge originates from experience. Now to our second theme. What is empiricism? Empiricism. Philosophical school emphasizing sensory experience as knowledge source. Hume stands as empiricism's towering figure. Philosophical isms become clear through contextual understanding. Empiricism's roots trace to ancient Greek medical practice, originally meaning physicians treating through experience, not theory. Centuries later, philosophers like Hume developed this concept. John Locke's famous metaphor, mind as blank slate, tabula rasa. Empiricism further influenced psychology and education development. Behaviorist John Watson famously declared, "Give me a dozen healthy infants." This illustrates human malleability through environmental conditioning. This traces empiricism's historical development. Like rival martial arts schools, empiricism faces rationalism. Rationalism claims knowledge originates from logical reasoning. Descartes' wax analogy. Physical changes don't alter essential nature. Hume countered, "No wax impression, no wax concept." Wax knowledge requires prior sensory experience. Empiricism and rationalism remain philosophical counterparts. Hume's critique. Reason is, and ought only to be, passion's slave. Humans are primarily emotional beings, secondarily rational. Hume's skepticism challenged rationalism's foundations. Inductive reasoning dominated 17th century empiricism. Example: daily sunrise observations predict tomorrow's sunrise. Inductive reasoning involves generalizing patterns from specific observations. But induction isn't foolproof, like assuming all swans are white until seeing a black one. Even 10,000 white swans can't guarantee the 10,000th first will be white. A farmer feeds his chicken daily at noon without fail. The chicken deduces noon equals feeding time through induction. On Thanksgiving Eve, this law fails. The farmer comes with an axe instead. Hume's unique perspective continues to challenge thinkers. Even Kant acknowledged Hume's genius, calling his work revelatory. Hume awoke me from dogmatic slumbers. Kant famously admitted, Kant spent 20 years writing Critique of Pure Reason, countering Hume.
Yet Kant conceded complete refutation of Hume was impossible.
Hume's empiricism positions reason as passion's servant. Book 1 of Treatise contains Hume's ground-reigning epistemology. Now, to our final question, what constitutes the self? Book 1. I examines emotions. Book 1. I builds moral philosophy. We'll explore selfhood through emotional and moral lenses. Hume's self-concept originated in childhood contemplations. Hume's family practiced Calvinism, a major Protestant denomination with complex rituals. Young Hume disliked observing neighbors' pious prayers in church, contrasting with their worldly behavior outside.
Religion promised heavenly rewards for good deeds, which Hume found transactional.
He criticized believers doing good for salvation, even wishing misfortune to demonstrate virtue. This critique of religious hypocrisy was revolutionary in 18th century Scotland. Through rejecting religion, Hume turned to studying human nature as self-knowledge foundation. So what constitutes the self? Hume argues we cannot truly prove our existence or understand ourselves fundamentally. This counterintuitive idea challenges basic human assumptions about identity. Can't we at least prove our physical existence? Hume contends. Humans are merely bundles of perceptions, not solid entities. We assume bodily awareness proves existence, but Hume questions this certainty. Body awareness constitutes knowledge, not proof of ownership. Test. Observe your hand's shape and color. These are perceptions, not ownership proofs. Hand ownership derives from habitual association, not empirical evidence. Hume's radical conclusion. We cannot empirically prove our bodily existence. Hume's radicalism continues. Neither body nor mind can be empirically proven to exist. He viewed the mind as merely a collection of perceptions. Yesterday's joy, today's fatigue, we experience emotions without underlying self. No permanent mental substrate exists beneath transient feelings. Emotions are exchanges of impressions between experiences.
Joy colors the world bright, sorrow makes it dark. Perception shapes reality.
Love, hate require specific objects, never arising from vacuum. Emotional contagion. We mirror others' joy or pain through empathy. All emotions fundamentally transfer through situational projection. Altruism is extended. Self-love, not genuine concern for others. Now to Hume's moral philosophy. 18th century Britain saw bourgeoisie ascendancy. Hume represented their ideology. Hume's pivotal role bridged between empiricism and Kantian philosophy. His moral views differ significantly from modern conceptions. While we consider justice essential, Hume saw it as non-existent. He reduced justice to resource distribution patterns. If resources were abundant, concepts like ownership and justice would vanish as unnecessary. Under extreme scarcity, survival instinct overrides justice. Pure self-interest prevails. This applies to moral concepts of good, evil too. Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations built on Hume's self-interest theory, reshaping economic history. Thus, Hume's self-concept bridges emotional and moral dimensions, rejecting religious hypocrisy. Hume pioneered human nature studies. Hume's core thesis: human nature, fundamentally self-interested. Neither body, existence, nor moral concepts withstand rational proof. This concludes today's core content. A Treatise of Human Nature stands among Britain's greatest philosophical contributions. We've distilled 3 key aspects for detailed exploration. Recap: Hume's fork categorizes knowledge, challenging causal assumptions, philosophical cornerstone. Part 1. I detailed empiricism's challenge to rationalist traditions. Hume's skepticism directly influenced Kant's philosophical development. Kant acknowledged Hume's revolutionary directional shift in philosophy. Finally, we examine Hume's introspective human nature analysis. Hume broadened will and emotion over cold rationality in human affairs. Said, moral, political foundations rest on self-reliance. Per Hume. The treatise demolished traditional explanations of human nature. Thus emerged empirical human science based on observation and experimentation. We conclude with Hume's self-evaluation from his writings. However simple our theoretical conception of nature may appear, it never proves truly simple upon examination. This concludes our exploration of a treatise of human nature. Find key takeaways below the audio. Congratulations on completing another great book. We'll meet again tomorrow.